The Galapagos Islands run along the equator 600 miles west of South America. Here in the Galapagos Islands, it is almost always sunny, and the cool sea breezes create a perfect air temperature that you would not expect on the equator. In the Galapagos Islands, there are crystal clear tortoise seas, beaches with pink volcanic, black, powdery, white, and olive green sands, mangrove lagoons, and cactus forests. The Galapagos Islands consist of 13 major islands and 17 small islands, and some 40 rocks that make up the archipelagos, born from fiery volcanic activity in the deep Pacific Oceans. These islands have never been part of the continent, and unlike similar islands like Hawaii, the Galapagos Islands have only relatively recently been discovered by man, and recently had human habitation. Here's a story of two researchers who have made a home on the Galapagos Islands. The first human visitor to the Galapagos Island was Charles Darwin, who was on a fact-finding mission. He developed the theory of evolution and claimed that natural selection was the driving force behind it. He based his thoughts and ideas and facts on the changing of the species that he noticed from the various species on the Galapagos Islands. Since then, biologists have visited the Galapagos Islands to further understand the driving factors of evolution. Two ecologists who have spent 39 years observing, measuring, and tagging the Galapagos finches within their environment have documented environmental changes which have favored individuals within these populations. These two ecologists are Peter and Rosemary Grant. They've made a home on the Galapagos Islands. It is known that few researchers would have spent 39 years living in a tent on a barren volcanic island, weighing, measuring, and identifying hundreds of birds and the type of seeds they consume. Darwin would have been amazed to know the process he identified and believed took vast periods of time and many generations could actually be observed throughout an individual's career. Peter's and Rosemary's lab consists of a 100-acre island called Daphne Major. In this lab, the Grants have witnessed the struggle for survival among two species of bird, often referred to as Darwin's finches. What is the struggle? Well, the availability of food, of course. The food sources is greatly influenced by the yearly weather changes. The Grants always wanted to observe natural selection at work. By judging which birds survived the changing environment, they were able to do so. Body size and shape, along with beak size and shape in finches, are traits that vary in adapting environmental niches or in changes within those niches. For those of you guys who might not know, niches are the role the species play within that ecosystem. The resources consumed, the habitat it occupies, all form the niche of that species. This diagram depicts the various species of Darwin's finches found within the Galapagos Islands and the beak size, along with the foods that they actually consume. The drought of 1977. In 1977, vegetation within the island withered and died due to a decrease in rainfall. This affected the quantity and variation of seeds. Small, soft-coated seeds were quickly exhausted by the birds. Large, tough-coated seeds were the only ones available. The finches would normally avoid these seeds. This drastic change led to the struggle for food. The seed characteristics led to the selection of birds with larger beaks and stronger beaks that could open these hard seeds. As a result of the drought, smaller-beaked finches died. Larger-bodied and deep-beaked finches survived and reproduced. The offsprings the following year tended to be larger with bigger beaks. This meant that the finches had adapted to the change in their environment, which had affected the following generations. These results were recorded by Peter and Rosemary Grant. This image depicts the size and shape of the Darwin finches, which resulted after the 1977 drought. This histogram shows the distribution of beak depth of medium ground finches on Daphne Major before and after the drought in 1977. And as you can see, beak sizes, as well as the number of finches with these beaks, changed and increased to 10 millimeters during the 1970s. This next graph shows the relationship between beak depth of the offspring and the parents in the medium ground finch population on Daphne Major. The slope of the relationship is the heritability. Can evolution go the other way? Well, of course it can. The years of 1984 and 1985 resulted in an increase in rain. This led to more small, soft seeds on the menu and fewer larger seeds. As expected, the birds best adapted to eat the smaller seeds were those with smaller bodies and beaks. Those that survived produced the most offsprings in the following years. These are pictorial representations of the Darwin's finches after 1989 offsprings. As you can tell, their beaks have gotten smaller and their body size has also gotten smaller. Peter and Rosemary Grant have provided the scientific community with years of evidence showing that natural selection is truly the driving force behind evolution. What Charles Darwin once observed in the 19th century and believed that it took centuries and a vast number of generations to occur, we now know can occur within a few years and a few generations, with the genetics of the survivors being passed on to generations to come.